Politics and Profits with your host, Rick Amato.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Rick Amato. This is Politics and Profits. Well, the California primary in both the Republican and Democrat Party was held just a few weeks ago, and we all know that at least on the Democrat side, Hillary Clinton was the winner. Or was she? It turns out that state officials have not officially released their results, and some say that there's foul play at play. Joining me at this time in studio is Democrat political activist Ray Lutz. Ray is the national coordinator for Citizens Oversight. Ray, good to see you. First of all, tell our viewers, what is Citizens Oversight?
Citizens Oversight encourages citizens to become more active in their public and local government. Go to the meetings, find out what's going on. And we find that if everybody would go to these meetings, or a lot, 1 out of 1,000 maybe would go and attend to the meetings, which usually have no one there, that then you can keep these elected officials in line. We've been looking, in this case, at the elections department here in California, the various elections in San Diego County and other counties.
Other counties. I was not aware. So you are suing the state of California Election Committee?
We're suing Alex Padilla, who's the Secretary of State, and we're also suing in some of the local districts.
Because the results have not been certified and released?
Well, not because of that. They're not supposed to release it until July 7th. Okay. A lot of people think, oh, the election is over. Actually, it isn't certified yet, which is the official results. What they have in this state are so many vote-by-mail ballots, and in this case, provisional ballots. Those are people who came in, and typically they're the nonpartisan voters. So the people that are called NPP voters, no party preference.
So why are you suing the state or this?
Because they went into the voting place, asked for a ballot that had Bernie Sanders on it, so that it would be the crossover ballot. It was everything that is the presidential race plus everything else, but not the central committees and other partisan races. They were supposed to get that ballot. Instead, they were either pushed over into other ballots, but at least those were put into this provisional pile, which gives extra scrutiny and maybe not even counted.
So voters walked in, they had to ask for a ballot with Bernie Sanders' name on it?
Because they're nonpartisan. If you're nonpartisan, you don't get the presidential race. In the Republican Party, you're not allowed to enter into that race if you're nonpartisan. The Democratic Party says, yeah, we're allowed to vote in ours if you ask for a ballot.
Okay, so the results have not been certified yet. That's not due till July 7th. Do you think there's something to hide here?
There is, because we have so many. We're talking about several million, a couple of million of ballots that have been set aside. Apparently, why are they doing this? Why did they put these into this extra pile? Was it because there's something going on to force Hillary to become the elected in the state? Just think what would happen if Bernie Sanders had been elected on June 7th. He would have been able to perhaps get those super delegates.
Do you believe that Bernie really won this election in California?
I don't know, because I don't have the evidence. I'm not going to say that. However, there's a really good chance that he should have won this election.
So you think that, in your heart of hearts, you think that he may be the true winner?
If you look at the crowds that they had, the 25,000 crowds following Bernie around, and almost no one filling a gymnasium trying to listen to Hillary, you're saying, what's going on here? Why didn't he do better in this election?
It always happens in grassroots politics. The establishment candidate gets no one to show up. On the right, the Tea Party's folks flock to the grassroots candidate who gets defeated in the elections. But you think that there's something to be said about the big crowds that came to see Bernie?
We know that they've been violating the rules. That's what we're trying to get them.
Oh, because of the...
And the 1% manual tally, which is the crux of part of this, that's the way that you have in the system. They're supposed to check and balance their own result.
All right.
And they're not doing that.
Let's say that as a result of your lawsuit, we find out that there was foul play. Okay. And that Bernie Sanders truly ended up being the winner, but manipulated. Okay. We get to the convention, the Democratic convention in Philadelphia later this summer. That information comes out. Chaos, I would imagine.
Well, at least, at minimum, Bernie Sanders will be able to maybe negotiate more progressive platform positions than what Hillary is taking. She's been drifting to the right, and so he's admittedly already he's pulled her to the left just because he's been in the race, and they brought up these issues that never would have been brought up before. So if he does get those, if he's able to negotiate and get the superdelegates over, he could get, I would imagine, it could happen. I'm not going to say it will happen.
That he will get the nomination? Or
it could happen, because if they do reverse California, that will be very, very significant. Then he might be able to negotiate for those superdelegates, and something else might happen at the convention.
Why do you suppose Bernie hasn't been challenging this in California?
It's difficult. You know, what do you say? Sour grapes, don't beat a dead horse. I mean, all this stuff happens.
As California goes, we say, so goes America.
It could happen.
Is this going on elsewhere?
A lot of people do like Bernie, even on the far right. They see his trade positions, his wanting to build infrastructure in the country. These are all good things.
Gun issues?
Somewhat on the gun issue, too.
You mentioned some on the far right like Bernie. I've met Bernie supporters who are like Trump. They just don't want to be part of Hillary, because the establishment just don't want to be a part of that. How about you? If Hillary gets the nomination, how do you feel about your allegiances? I
have difficulty with Hillary. I'm concerned about this email scandal. I'm concerned about how big that's going to get as I look into it. I'm hoping in a way that it'll blow up before the convention, because then maybe Bernie will get in. I don't think it will, though. I think that she's going to be way better than Trump, even if she is distasteful in my mind. You know, it's like the lesser of the evils. Trump is, I don't know, he's a hidden target. You don't know what he's going to do.
He's an unknown.
The Republicans, there's a disaster in that party, because it's a utter chaos. They can't support this guy. They don't like it, mostly because of his character.
But, you know, he does misspeak. But when you say they can't support him, really, I think what you're talking about is the establishment. It's the grassroots, like the grassroots for Bernie on the left, the grassroots on the right, not all, but many seem to be embracing Trump, where it's the Paul Ryans and the Mitt Romneys who back away.
Well, we had a big takeover by the Koch brothers. They installed the Tea Party, which was really a fake kind of a movement.
I disagree with you. You have to understand, I've been a guest speaker at 50 Tea Party rallies across America. I can't let you get away with that, Ray. I know you believe it. The reason I can't let you get away with it is because that's a narrative that's been put out by someone on the left. I have seen the authenticity of the Tea Party movement. Listen, you're going to join us on the other side of the break as part of the panel. If you want to take that up further, we can.
Okay, good.
But we have a break coming up.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to continue with Ray Lutz, and I'll be rejoined by insurance contributor Terry Urich. That's on the other side of the break. It's our panel. This is Politics and Profits. I'm Rick Amato. Back after this.
This is Politics and Profits with your host, Rick Amato.
All right, welcome back, everybody. I'm Rick Amato. This is Politics and Profits. Now it's time for our panel. We hit various topics from around the world, if you will, around the current events news scene. Joining me in studio, as I did previously, is Democrat political activist and national coordinator for Citizens Activists, Ray Lutz. Ray, thanks for staying with us.
Thank you very much.
And insurance contributor to the show, insurance expert Terry Urich. Terry, good to see you.
You too.
First topic, we hit all the topics here on the panel. We go from social issues to political issues to economic issues. We're all over the map, if you will. Maybe we should call it all over the map. First topic, let's go with you, Ray. I love saying that some people believe there's a conspiracy on Trump to elect Hillary. Others believe there's a conspiracy with Hillary to elect Trump. No matter who's elected, Trump or Hillary, what would you most like to see from the next president of the United States?
I hope that they start spending more money on the infrastructure. This is actually one of the Bernie Sanders talking points, but I hope they start actually repairing those bridges, building roads, and repairing the infrastructure. As you look around the world in these other new countries like Singapore and China, they're way ahead of us. Why aren't we employing our people here? Why aren't we putting them to work on these projects? What do you want everybody to be unemployed? We've got to start spending money on this infrastructure.
And I knew you'd find a way to fit Bernie into that sentence. All right, Terry, what would you like to see most accomplished by this next president?
You know, I'd really like to see the military become strong again, Rick. I think there's been a lot of cuts to the police force and the military over the past few years. And
Terry going with a politically incorrect answer, which is fine here.
Yes.
Go ahead.
If we're going to do government spending, I think we have to keep our military strong. With ISIS and a lot of world threats right now.
They're a JV basketball team, in case you're not aware of this ISIS. You know, before we move on, I just want to say, you mentioned building bridges. That's what I want to see next from this president, but not the bridges you're referring to. I want to see less polarization by our next leader. America has never been more polarized than it is right now. That's in my opinion, a fault of
How's that going to
leadership.
happen with somebody like Trump? I mean, we don't have somebody that's going to be non-polarizing there. It's a disaster.
Well, fair enough, because he has used a lot of polarizing language. Here's my belief. I may be wrong, right? I got my crystal ball here. Trump has lived a life of not being a polarizing individual. You look at his business career, there have been people of color who have come out and said they're great friends of his who now oppose him. I believe Trump is doing what he's doing because that's what's getting them votes. I think if he gets elected, you see a different person. I happen to have met Trump in person. He is one of the most charismatic individuals I've ever met in my life. Muhammad Ali and Donald Trump are the two most charismatic individuals. That doesn't mean you're a good leader, but I expect him to not use such polarizing language. Could be wrong. Citizens oversight.
Right.
I think this next question lends itself right to that. No matter who gets elected in November, Trump or Hillary, is focused on the Republican Party for a moment. We see dissatisfaction in both parties. Bernie Sanders supporting, Trump supporting. Do you believe that even if Trump wins or loses, the Republican Party's future is not what it currently, we're seeing a different Republican Party going.
I think they're doomed. The Republican Party is blowing apart at the seams right now. They can't agree on anything. They have somebody in there that they don't even want to win. They have people that say, I'll vote for him, but I don't like him. I mean, it is coming apart. And
but aren't they saying that on the left? You had said in a previous segment, I don't like Hillary, but I'll vote for her.
Not so much. I don't think the left
just a little bit less.
I don't think the left is quite in as much of a full catastrophe like this.
Crisis mode. Terry, your take.
You know, I'd like to see America become great again, Rick. I think that...
Going politically incorrect on the show.
A little bit. You know, I would really like to see more free market supply and demand.
So would I.
And a little bit less socialistic public funding for so many programs. I think that California alone is in a major crisis. Our general fund is being drained for a lot of the wrong reasons. And then with the legalization of marijuana coming out on the ballot this fall, we're going to have more problems. And I feel like we need more Republican control to take care of a lot of these issues in the market and tighten up the budget. I
believe the Republican Party will not be the same. How it changes, to what degree, I don't know. Yeah. But I think if we look out 8-10 years, we'll see a different party.
What we need.
I think the same in the Democratic Party, just that they're a little bit behind that curve. I think we'll see a different Democrat Party in 8, 10, 12 years. Both parties won't look the same, I believe, going out down the horizon. Which leads me to my next question. Why, Ray Lutz, do you feel there's so much dissatisfaction with our political leaders in America today in both parties?
They can't seem to do any work. You know, the Congress doesn't do anything. They're on vacation right now. They should be actually attending to these things and actually working on the problems. Instead, they're talking about the issues in order to get points amongst either the people that are giving them money or the voters.
Conflicts of interest.
Try to stay in power. And they don't care about the country.
Crony capitalism, it sounds like to me, Ray Lutz, and people taking after their officials looking after their own self-interest. Terry Urich, same question.
You know, I would like, I'm not even sure I can be politically correct on any of this, Rick, but, you know, I decline to answer.
You decline to answer on why now you've piqued all our interest. Give us an answer in 3 sentences.
I'm not sure what to say.
Just total dissatisfaction with the leadership is what I'm getting from you.
Total dissatisfaction with the leadership. I think too much government involvement, and that's all I need to say. Isn't
it interesting, we're about out of time, but isn't it interesting, we see the Brexit vote, and that's what the Brits were saying, is that there's too much government intervention in what is Europe, but socialism to a great degree. So it's interesting. You don't have to hold it right there, Mr. Lutz. Okay. We're out of time. We'll bring you back.
Okay, good.
Terry Urich, insurance contributor Ray Lutz, Democratic political activist, national coordinator for Citizens Oversight. Thanks for being part of our panel.
Thank you.
All right, that's our show, everybody. I want to thank you for watching Politics and Profits. I'm Rick Amato. Back at you again next time.